I'd like to call this school committee meeting to order. Mr. Walsh, please lead us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
School committee members and student report. School committee chair report. I have nothing to report at this time. Resource committee.
Resource Committee, we met just the other day, and we accepted our minutes from the previous meeting. We looked at donations that we have received, and also requests. Ray Cosenza has a donation of $2,650. Bequest for the Fitchburg Public Schools Athletic Department for football and baseball for $115,000. This comes out of the Patricia Woodcomb Fund that was left to the Alumni Association and also to football and baseball at the high school. We also received from the Deacon Jones Foundation $5,817. There is on the McKinney-Vento grant, $20,000. Rheingold Century 21 acceptance, $590,584. ELT at Lonjo acceptance, $719,779. United Way Community Impact Grant, Plato Credit Recovery Program at the high school, $8540. United Way Impact Grant, the after-school MCAS prep tutoring for $19,567. We also discussed the Crocker Field Grandstand, which we needed $2,000 from school choice funds, which we've already appropriated some, but it's now being finished. The Lonjo ELT Memorandum of Agreement, $130,000, and Lonjo Furniture of $31,000. We had an enrollment update from Bob.
Excuse me.
And we discussed the distribution of expense report through August 2018, financial impact of our settlement of the contract for FY19 and beyond, supplemental $400,000 appropriation from City Council, and building updates at Crocker, Lonjo, FHS, and Lonjo. We discussed the building needs, the school building needs request, and the FLAC update lease. That's our building that we have on Winooski Road.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No, that sounded good.
Okay.
Yep.
Policy committee.
So you have before you the approved policies that came through, that we did over the summer. And we should be having a policy meeting scheduled soon, because September is a month with only one school committee meeting. So Rosemary, Aiden, and I, we can talk about dates after the meeting and let all of you know.
Thank you, Ms. Cragen. Any questions? Seeing none, student support committee.
Mr. Mayor, before, when were we doing the moment of silence?
Yeah, after this.
After?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new to report for student support.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? School personnel committee. You know what I was going to suggest is we again go through this. That's going to be could be lengthy, so we could take that up after approval of the school committee minutes, and we could.
I would make a motion to take that up after approval of minutes.
Thank you. All right, motion made and seconded to take this up after approval of the previous school committee minutes. Executive committee, there's nothing to report. Student report. Students, welcome back.
Thanks, we're happy to be back.
No, really.
With more enthusiasm, please.
Thanks, we're happy to be back.
Seniors this year, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
doesn't feel real. Let me tell you one thing. I walked in the first day of school. It did not feel like the first day of school. Out of every day, like every first day of school, I couldn't sleep the night before because I was so excited to, do something finally. And this year, it was like, it felt kind of like a continuation.
So the summer wasn't long enough, is that what you mean? It went
I
by
don't know.
really quick.
Maybe it's because we became seniors at the end of our junior year.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a change, and now it's so weird that we're the oldest ones. So like, there's no one to look up to. So it's like, where do I go?
They're looking up to you now.
Yeah, the old timers.
So I can't believe how I can't imagine how giant I must look. Freshman, because my freshman year, I would look up to these seniors. So it's funny to think about that. But yeah, so the School Improvement Council will be holding its first meeting on Thursday, September 20th at 5:30 in room 199. The Student Advisory Council will hold its first meeting on Tuesday, September 18th at 7 a.m. in the main office. Yeah, we're gonna talk about how the new schedule works with everyone, give some feedback on the new rules and the enforcement that they're making. Let's see. We also have a new attendance rule. We have improved dramatically with attendance over the past few years, according to Mr. Roach. Students are expected to be in school 95% of the time in order to receive credit for their courses. Each student is allowed 4 unexpected absences per quarter, and that does not require additional documentation. The school does accept medical or other official documentation as excused absences. However, if a student does exceed the allowed 4 unexcused absences, they are assigned a no credit grade, which essentially means that they have no credit at the moment. Nevertheless, the student then has the entire next marking period to make up those excessive absences in order to have the NC repealed and replaced with the grade they would have. So one of the ways to do that would be buyback, where you have to come to school for, is it like 10 consecutive days? I don't know, because I never did it, which is a good thing.
I know, right?
But I think it's a certain amount of days consecutively, and then you can buy back 2 absences. Starting this week, Chromebooks will be passed out to all students. Thank God. I need to start applying to college. And there will be an early release day on Wednesday, September 19th. Normal lunch schedules will be in place, and students will be released at 11:58 in the morning.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Why?
Why is there an early release day?
It's just the way it works.
I mean, there's no, like, event or something? No? She's looking.
You gotta make
We're just letting you go, that's all. Half day, no problem. Go ahead. That's okay, that's okay.
what's this?
No, that's okay. Call my
Professional
office tomorrow, tell me what the release date is. No, I'm kidding.
The teacher,
Professional.
Is that what it is, the professional
Professional
development?
Okay,
Oh,
that's
okay.
what it usually
See, you
is.
would know that. That's right, that wasn't fair. I should have asked the teachers that. Right, okay.
Okay, so here's some upcoming events and the dates on which they'll take place. So I'm not going to read the whole athletic schedule to you just because of time. So if you want to check out the athletics, just go to the website, Fitchburg High School website, and you can go under the athletic section. Students also should make their return of their AUP forms. If they don't, they can't use their Chromebooks. And we're starting to rely more on the internet in school, so assignments are being posted more on the internet. We're starting to kind of veer away from using pen and paper. So assignments are regularly posted on Google Classroom. Senior reception night will take place this Wednesday, September 12th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Advisory will take place on Friday, September 21. The first semester open house will take place on Thursday, September 27, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that's for parents to come in. And the Advanced Placement AP Kickoff Assembly will be hosted on Friday, September 28th at 1 p.m. in the auditorium. So that's just to kick off AP classes for those who are taking AP, to just encourage kids to do well in the classes. I think that's all the announcements we have, so.
Questions from the committee?
Comment, Matthew is also a member of the Pittsburgh Cultural Council, the student rep, and
Yeah.
I understand he is a contributor, a valuable contributor to it. Thank you, Matthew.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you guys, how do you feel like people have adjusted to any concerns that they might have had about the building, and like the delayed opening? Do you feel like kids have talked a lot about that? Do you feel like you've seen parents come in? I mean, what's kind of the pulse there?
Well, from what I have seen, lunch has been going by pretty smoothly because they thought they found mold in the gym in the field house. So I know that they accommodated for that, and they made some students go into the auditorium. Other than that, I haven't heard anyone speak about the mold. It's kind of like an irrelevant issue.
Being
Yeah.
addressed, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Good.
I would say the teachers, I'm hearing more of reviews from the teachers than the students. It seems like they're more concerned or more passionate about the issue. So yeah, I didn't hear much from the students though.
Yeah, it's I'd have to say it's the not being able to be in the room, and like my teacher, for example, for one of my classes, were in the auditorium because her room got stripped down,
Right.
and she has like stuff in some teacher's room, but stuff in another teacher's room, so she can't really find all of the supplies she needs to run the class properly in her classroom. So we have to use all the things in the auditorium, which
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Unfortunate disruption. It is.
Yeah, and other teachers, other people having to relocate to other classrooms, but,
Right.
it's doable.
What's the projected timeline for people getting back into their designated rooms?
For the area that was impacted by the mold, it'll probably be another month or two. We have to go out to bid for the floor tiles over there, and in the other wing, well, where the fire was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should be wrapping up one of the rooms maybe as soon as this week, where the one that had the damage. So we're winding down over there on that wing.
Could have Bob speak to, Mr. Jokel, could you speak, Pittsburgh was not the only community that had a.
Yeah, so there were, so just kind of, we are not alone, from the movie E.T. There were 40 schools across the state that have been impacted, some level by mold outbreaks. So, there was record humidity this past summer. Using Boston's weather, there were 41 days of humidity over 70% versus last few years was 17 and 18. And we had a record hot August. So those two things were what caused the most. So.
Yeah.
We did, maybe some, Bob, on Lonjo Middle School on the roof. There was a nice picture that I received today.
Yep.
On the cupola and the roof, looking good.
Yep.
But as we talked this morning, when we were talking about the Crocker Elementary School, where we're heading with that with school buildings, needs from the state, that Murphy's Law has kind of taken effect with, we lost, 2 weeks, I think it was, for replacing the roof, so. But it is coming along very well.
Today's rain notwithstanding.
Today, we get the rain.
Any other questions? Thank you again. I have a motion to approve of minutes from the previous school committee meeting of June 18th, 2018.
So motion to accept?
Motion made and seconded to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Also approve of minutes of special school committee meeting of August 23rd.
Make a motion to approve them?
Second. Motion made and second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Before we go into our next agenda item, I want to take a moment and bring to light the passing of one of our students from class of 2015. Ron Valentin. He was Marine or Army? Marine. And it was in Okinawa, not Okinawa, right? Yeah. We still don't know what happened, correct?
Correct.
And also, at the same, a moment of silence for Fred Sullivan, who was a teacher in our system, but much, much more over the years. You could call him the sports historian of Fitchburg. So if we can have a moment of silence for those two individuals, please. Thank you.
May I just
Yes,
Just,
go ahead.
Just out of remembrance of Mr. Sullivan, who I eventually learned to call Fred, because I actually taught at Fitchburg High for 4 years. And Mr. Sullivan was my teacher, so it was awkward to kind of come in and go from Mr. Sullivan to Fred, but he was larger than life, and he'd be in your face to say, "Call me Fred." But I just have to say that I had so many great teachers in the Fitchburg Public Schools, and he was absolutely one of them, somebody who really inspired me to love history. He just loved stories, and it wasn't about dates so much, and it wasn't about minutia. It was about funny, raucous kind of stories, and that's really what history is all about. And I just want to say, when I went to his wake this week, I was reminded by what I considered sort of the titans of teaching, all the people who were there to remember him. They were such great teachers, and I know there are so many students like me who went on to choose a career path because of the talented, passionate people that taught them. And it was sad to see that news, because he was a great teacher.
Gonna miss his announcing at Cracker Field too, the games, football games. He was a character. Any other comments? Thank you. Now, I'm going to open it up for discussion under the School Personnel Committee. Discuss the timeline to name a permanent superintendent, form a search committee, and public forums to discuss the vision and goals of Fitchburg Public Schools. So that discussion is now open. I think part of what the committee needs to determine is how extensive the search, how we wish to proceed, whether it's within district or expanded in a larger scope in the search that we're going to pursue. Mr. Zini, you think it would be appropriate for you to come up and kind of shepherd us through this as how time frames work and some of that? Is that something that, thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you.
So I think, as the school committee would remember, when Glenn Kuchar came in and met with the committee to discuss the process, it really does lie in the hands of the school committee members to determine the entire scope of the search. So it is within your purview to decide whether or not to conduct a search at all, to conduct just an internal search or an external search. So those are all things that I think the school committee needs to consider. I would advise, if the school committee is going to do any type of a search, to make that decision sooner rather than later, so that proper planning can be done in terms of gathering input from the community, determining size and makeup of a search committee if they desire to put one together. But that's kind of the way that I understand the process, and would be happy to help facilitate any or all of those plans.
I'm just looking at the draft search timeline that was provided in the Glenn Kuchar materials for the MSC, and just if you're on a September to mid-January timeline, September includes receiving preliminary, the school committee would receive preliminary documents, approved a draft timeline, set focus group meetings, which I feel very strongly about, that we should have focus group meetings in the city of Fitchburg, just to allow parents and students and faculty members, business community members, whomever, right, to talk about what they see as the vision and what they think the Fitchburg Public Schools should be doing. But in September, you would then make decisions about recruiting a search committee, and then that search committee would have an orientation. I would, from what I understand, it would be at that point where that search committee would be putting together its plan for how they would get this information out. We heard from Glenn Kuchar that the MASC houses their internal communications where people can go to that site to kind of look at positions that are being advertised. So I think what I would favor is our first step would be to agree that we're going to assemble and recruit a search committee.
That appointment is from me, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
right.
Yep.
Ms. Reynolds?
As I understand it, we could do it ourselves, as Rick has brought up. But I spoke to people in other communities, and it could also be done. The whole thing could be done by Glenn Kuchar's group. I think he was not able to speak about any cost. However, somebody told me that in their district it cost $12,000 to employ his group to do all of this work that we're now beginning to look at. And so I think there's some value in that. And there's another group too. There's at least one other group that just from conversation was much more expensive route to go. But I think that I would like, I have some questions that I'd like to say, some thoughts I'd like to say prior to this point that we're at. May I express those thoughts that I have?
You may, go ahead.
One thing, and this is so simple, but I just have to say it out loud. Anybody that we have, and do we have the certification of Mr. Jockler? I've physically seen the certification. I know it sounds simple, but there have been other cities that didn't see it. When you get down to it, you didn't see the certification. So I've got to ask: have you seen the certification?
I'm the keeper of the records, and Mr.
I would like to see them as well. The certification of for the position, and also
Just for the school committee's information, the licensure for DESE superintendent and assistant superintendent is the same license. So by holding the assistant superintendent's licensure, one also holds a license for superintendent.
But I physically would like to see that, because otherwise I'm depending on you, and that's fine, but I also like to see it. It would be very embarrassing, and it's not specific to you, but other communities have been embarrassed by not asking the basics. I'm just asking the basic question. And even though Mr. Jockler is currently the temporary superintendent, there is a time period here where he will be at the helm. And I'm wondering if he could put together goals for that brief period of time, and that we could review the goals. Then when we come to an evaluation, we'd have some criteria on which to evaluate, rather than just bumping along and having a casual idea of how things went. So I would like to make the request that some goals be presented to us. And again, I'm interested in the evaluation at the end of the time. So those are two things. That's all that I have to say at this time.
Thank you. Does the committee wish to, are we confining it just to in-house, the search, or are we going to expand? I'd like to at least resolve that.
Yeah. I think questions that Mrs. Reynolds brought up, we have, 6 people who are certified as superintendents, Mr. Zena? Is that
Within the district?
within the
I
district?
believe 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we did in the past, as we have done previously already, Mr. Zena spoke with all 6 people and ascertained their interest in being superintendent. So that's one way. We have 6 people who are licensed, certified to serve as superintendent. And I would be very much against spending $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 on an outside consulting group, and I think this committee has enough expertise on the committee to select a superintendent.
Any other comment?
I agree with Mr. Stevens, and I think, personally, I may not even be on the search committee, but I believe the search committee, as we discussed when Mr. Kuchar met with us in June, I believe it was, that normally a search committee could be 10 to 12 people, would include the mayor, a couple school committee members, some teachers, administrator, parents, teachers, and I believe that within the district and within the city, I believe that a school committee, a search committee could be created that would be looking out for the best interest of our district, and that they would go through the process to determine a final slate of candidates. And I think I would much rather have the search done by a local group than an outside headhunting group or whatever. And I think we could put together a very qualified search committee to review all the applications that come through and to present a final slate to be presented to the school committee and for the public to sit in on those final presentations.
I concur with Mr. Walsh wholeheartedly. I think that the expertise, and Mr. Stevens, the expertise within our school committee is very high. And I also would like to put out there that other community members who are true stakeholders in our community, such as representatives from Fitchburg Art Museum, representatives from the university in Mount Wachusett, these are very important educational institutions we have ongoing relationships with. I think that there are people there who are highly qualified to provide their input as well. So that's where I sit.
Ms. Pierce?
I feel like there are 2 different points that people are making. I also don't want to spend $12,000 on outside people that I think, where we can find qualified people to serve on a committee. And I don't want to forget the actual people in the recipients of this education, the students and the parents too. I think those are really important voices. But the other point that you said is do you open it up? I mean, I think it's odd to not open it to anybody who actually thinks that they'd want to apply to. I mean, I feel like the point that I've been trying to make in this whole process is that we want to come to the end of this process and all feel really great that people have had a chance to express what's important in going forward in this district. And I don't feel like you can put this barrier on it and say, well, we'll just do a few people, or we'll just do an internal thing. I think you should just open it. And from what I understood Glenn Kuchar saying, that the MASC website is a place where a lot of people who are looking to be leaders of district will we'll look there. And, then there's a natural selection of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, right? Like, and I think that a search committee could, could weed through that and pick the people who make the most sense and have the experience that matches who we would like to interview. So that's just my thought about it.
So as I heard you speak, everybody speaks today, there's some things that was, we had a meeting, and you have said there's so many qualified, hold that ticket could step into this position. But that's within the city itself, 5 or 6. But I would like to see it open to, put on to, I think when Mr. Kuchar was here, he indicated that anybody that would take the time and effort to apply to be the principal here needs to know that it is not a done job, that we have open minds, that we're really making a search for anybody that thinks they have the qualifications and the desire to come to Fitchburg, if they're not from here. And I really resist a closed-mindedness that, because of the people that you mentioned, there's already been conversation about it, and there wasn't high interest at this time, and there's a lot of speculation. Is it really open, or is it a done deal? I guess I'm really, really anti the done deal idea. So he also said that from his experience, and which is vast, that he would likely be getting calls and saying, hey, I saw this position was open in Fitchburg. Is it really open, or what's the deal there? Is it just for show that you're searching, and it's going to come down to what they want to do already? Or is this a serious intent to put out a quest for a man or a woman to come here to tackle this job? So I think we have to be very clear that this is, we're open-minded. We really want to search for the best person over the long run. And I should think that would be a vigorous search, not a half-hearted search, or a search that begins with a conclusion already made. So
I've been on the committee for 11 years, and I've never been through a half-hearted search, and it's not a done deal. And I don't know where you're coming from, maybe past experience, but 11 years on the committee.
Excuse me, sir, I wasn't done, if you don't mind. Please, I'm not saying that you, Mr. Stevens, has done it. I'm just saying, in general, how do things appear? What is the talk? We have to be sensitive to all of this. As you see, I'm sensitive to it.
Me too.
And I think that, and you are, and I think
much.
probably everybody is. But my position is valid, I believe. So that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh.
When we met with Glenn Kuchar, first of all, let me say, I'm all for, when we post the position, post it open to anybody who wants to apply. Internally, in the state, out of state, and see what applications we receive. And I think what Mr. Kuchar said at our meeting, which was open, and I believe reporter from the Sentinel, Ms. Burke, was there, that sometimes when it's open to everybody and internal candidates applying, sometimes they call and ask, what's the story? But I believe, as I said earlier, that the search committee that is created and appointed by the mayor would be diligent in its review of all the applications. And the search committee does not consist of every member of the school committee. I think somebody said at one meeting, sometimes they have 2 members from the school committee, and then they have parents, teachers, administrators. I think somebody said the last time they had somebody from Fitchburg State, because the principal at McKay, in essence, is an employee at the university. So I believe I'm all for posting it for anybody to apply. I think Mr. Kuchar said there are 2 websites, one the state superintendent site and the state school committee site as well. I think there's one other one that you mentioned, Rick, that can also be posted.
Probably just School Spring. That's all encompassing, all I
Yeah.
So
MASS and MASC were the 2 that he said.
Yes.
People who are looking for superintendent positions in
Right.
Massachusetts will
Right.
look at those 2 websites.
Mr. Zena, am I to understand that MASAC provides this search assistance, but it's at a cost? Is that the 12,000 we were talking about?
I believe
Is that-
when Mr. Kuchar was here earlier, he did talk about some enhanced services that they offered. I don't know at the time that he mentioned any cost associated with it.
Okay. Can you, inquire about that? But at the very least, School Spring, there's no cost to School Spring, correct?
There's no cost to post the jobs.
Right, that's.
This
what
would
I'm-
be
Okay.
work on the back end to give guidance in terms of setting up your committee,
Right.
figuring out your interview process, things along those lines.
Okay.
Okay. Would those committee, yeah, Ms. Reynolds?
So you would be posting it on 3 sites, did you mention?
If
We
this-
would be posting it on 3 sites you mentioned there?
I think he said
I
two.
would recommend MASS, MASC, as
Oh,
well as
MASS.
School Spring.
Right.
Yeah.
Would that meet with your satisfaction?
Yes, yeah, and soon, right? So to give people a,
I'll make a recommendation that the mayor appoint a committee,
Second.
selection committee.
Motion made to appoint, provide the mayor with the opportunity to appoint a committee, a search committee.
Just
Yes.
Just a question before we vote on that. I would like to say that in the composition of the committee, if whoever would lead that committee, I think it's really important that they either are a product themselves of public school, or they've had children attend public school. I mean, I think that's an important feature
I
for
think
that.
we.
But that would be part
I
of.
think we have an HR person to head up everything. In the past, when we've had search committees, we haven't had an HR person, but when we have
How about former teachers?
superintendent,
I'll have my say at the end. You know I always do.
Mr. Zena, normally is the chair of the school committee the chair of the search committee? Is that?
No.
No? It's
No.
not? Okay.
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Not normal.
I just do the appointing, right? Someone else is the chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah.
For principal searches in the district, I have been the coordinating person, and we've
Okay.
done that through a committee as well.
well, that's what the chair is. He heads up the search committee and gathers all the information and presents it to the committee. And then tabulates everything. Yeah.
Can I call upon the committee members, if you will provide me with how you would like to see the makeup, any suggestions you may have to who we would appoint, or who I would appoint to this committee? I would find that helpful. Yes, Ms. Reynolds?
just from the little bit that I've read, there may be wise to have more than one committee to do the work thoroughly.
No.
I wouldn't
No?
No.
personally, sorry.
And, excuse me, the figure 12,000, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
came from a conversation that I had with somebody
Oh, okay.
that said,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
All right.
I think that's what we've paid in the past to one group, NASDAQ.
So there's a motion on the table
Yes.
for me to appoint a committee, begin that process. Do I have a second?
I seconded
Did
it.
you-
Yeah, she
All right,
said-
it's been-
Okay.
all right, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Can we have a show of hands just to make sure everybody's got it right? That's unanimous. Thank you. Yes.
Question, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to send a memo with my thoughts on makeup of committee.
Please,
On
yep.
that, and I think that would be the most streamlined way of doing it, so I will get that to you.
Be as specific as you can, folks.
Absolutely.
If you got people's names, specific people, let me know. More than happy to, I could use the help, so,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
Okay.
Any other questions on this? We're moving on. Oh, yes.
I did make a request for, and nobody spoke about that, so I don't know about Mr. Jockler, whether you could give us a goal orientation for the time that you're here.
So, in the middle of October at the second school committee meeting, as I'm part of the new superintendent's induction program. I'm preparing an entry plan, and I plan to present that to the full school committee at the
Thank
second
you.
meeting.
Great.
Great.
Is that to your satisfaction? Ms.
Yes,
Reynolds?
yes, very much.
Under communications, we're going to be going into executive session, but before we do, under communications, I just wanted to read a prepared statement I made to, and I presented to the council on Thursday of last week. There were a number of questions tonight about school building issues, the actual physical plants and whatnot. Members of the council, or members of the school committee and the viewing public, wanted to take this opportunity to recognize our superintendent, assistant superintendents, school committee, teachers, staff, and custodians, parents, students, building department, MSBA, purchasing on the city level, and MIAA, our insurance company, for their continued efforts in addressing our school building needs. The following is a small demonstration of many months of teamwork that has been accomplished. Crocker Elementary, we're awaiting the installation of the unit vents in the two-story wing. This is a 12-week lead time project. We hope the installation can be complete before winter break to allow the third and fourth graders to return in January 2019. First and second graders have returned from Passios. Longview Middle School, the roof, vapor barriers installed on the entire roof, so water will not be entering the building at all. The roofing insulation board will be installed this week, and the cupola restoration work is beginning as we speak. As a result of 16 rain days this summer, the work is behind schedule. The water damage in all but 4 classrooms on the 4th floor has been repaired by one school building maintenance person. What's his name again?
Jim Dufour.
Jim Dufour. Thank you, Mr. Dufour. Library and first floor, library fully operational, and first floor rooms will be addressed by the end of the calendar year. The installation of the vacuum condenser pump will be complete by October 15th. Fitchburg High School. The mold event was a result of record August heat and 41 days this summer with a dew point greater than 70%. Our insurance adjusters just informed us today that they are working on mold events in 40 other schools. All Fitchburg High School fire and smoke damage has been addressed, cleaned, with only final work to be complete in the classroom where the fire started. Funding for capital needs for our school buildings is something I fought for when I was in the state legislature, and a fight that is being continued by our state representative and senator. As mayor, I've appropriated funds above net school spending. Will continue to work with our school department and school committee to address those school needs. I'm proud of our city and even prouder of the teamwork our city has exhibited. That was met with applause by the council and the public that was at that meeting. And they were applauding all of the people I cited. This has been a full court press and a team effort by all on the city level. You, the people of Fitchburg, should be proud of the work that's been done with these challenges that, as I reported, are being met by a number of school districts. It's in good hands. Thank you. We're going to jump ahead with public comment again before we go into executive session. Is there anyone?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I had two quick communications.
Yep, go ahead.
The first is our facilities director, Tom Peterson, is a very calm person. And I don't know how he has stayed so calm throughout all the unbelievable surprise events that have happened in our building. So I wanted to single out Tom for his attention to detail, his temperancy, and his follow-through, because all of a sudden he'll again, at the facilities meetings that Mr. Stevens and Ms. LaBelle Pierce know well, Tom will start talking about what's happening, and it turns out that this whole sort of series of complicated things happened, and he had just dealt with them in a matter of hours or days. So Tom really deserves, that applause too, because he has been on. My second part for communications is this, and I've been meaning to say this since August 1st. I want to say thank you to Michael Kushmarek, Beth Walsh, counselors on our Fitchburg City Council, Representative Hay, Representative Higgins of Leominster, Leominster City Councilor Sue Shalafu Zephyr, and especially our school committee chair and Fitchburg Mayor Stephen DiNatale for speaking up about the Health Alliance situation. Health Alliance has already closed cardiac rehab, and they are threatening the mental health intake and the PED services. This is immoral and cruel. This is wrong for our residents. At the public hearing on August 1st, the nurse's testimony made it clear that hospital administration deliberately misled the nursing staff by promising to cross-train peds nurses so they could then do med-surg as a way of balancing staffing throughout the year. However, hospital administration did not follow through on that promise. And now what's proposed for our region is that peds and cardiac rehab and mental health services may be accessed in Worcester. That is not convenient, and that is not right. That is not local for our residents. And I would like to propose that our school committee sign a letter of disapproval and our views to be sent to the Department of Public Health, to Health Alliance, and to other area legislators, and I'm happy to draft that, because I went to that hearing, and thank you, Mayor, for being so vehemently straightforward about the incredible awful effects this will have on our region. So I wanted to put that forward in communication.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
I'm seeing nods, so I will start drafting.
We'll do that.
Sounds good.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Public communications complete, right?
Mr. Waffles had a great summer, and you'll...
I was wondering about the waffles. Yeah.
He'll be back. He'll be back in the schools this month.
Great. Good to hear. The public comment period, you have 5-minute limit. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment? Yes. If you'll come to the center table, please. Your name and address, although we probably all know who you are. Mary.
My name is Mary Denon. I'm a resident of Fitchburg. I'm also a retired teacher from the Fitchburg Public Schools. I think I had 25 years in the city of Fitchburg. So I've been around, let me just say it that way. My reason for being here tonight is that I was concerned and interested in how you were going to do the search for the permanent superintendent. In all my years, as not only as a teacher but as a resident, I've been very involved in coming to the school committee meetings, and whenever we needed a new superintendent, to my knowledge, it was always a search that included outward. And if we were lucky enough to have people within the system, that was great. Now, Superintendent Ravenel, your search was one that encompassed all over, is that correct?
As far as I know.
Right. And the majority, I can't think of one that was not outside of our school system. And I have a question. I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer this, or you might be able to. I'd like to know what your number one criteria is in looking for a superintendent.
Well, I think that would be the role of the committee.
Okay,
to
but as a
draft.
school committee, do you have anything in mind that you're...
Can I just make, this is
Yeah.
public comment, we don't respond, you make a comment and we listen. At this point,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not a question
All
and
right.
answer period.
Okay,
That's-
I wasn't
no,
aware
yeah,
of that,
okay.
but I think it's important that we make a list as to what we feel is the most important quality we're looking for in our superintendent.
That's available to you.
And what's that?
You can do that.
Right, well, no, I'm just saying that I think it's
Yeah.
important for it to be listed even in the paper.
Okay.
As you form your committee, you might want to have it published. This is what we're looking for. I mean, we all know that Fitchburg Public Schools has an extremely diverse population, and so what we're looking for is someone, in my estimation, that should be top-notch as far as educational curriculum, everything that has to do, we have some schools that are on the cusp right now. We need a committee that's going to look at all of the qualifications of a person, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And I'm sure, I know that you people work hard, and I'm sure that you will do the best to form a committee, and not only that, but to select a superintendent, because in the past you always have.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I'll be looking for the news in the paper.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, I need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
We need a vote on that, right?
Yeah, the
Roll
secretary.
call.
Roll call vote.
Secretary, take a roll call.
Okay, roll call vote.
Okay. So, Ms. Cragen,
Yes, aye.
Ms. Pierce,
Yes?
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Horgan.
Aye.
I believe everybody's covered.
Mr.
Mr. Stevens, sorry.
Yes.
And
You missed a man.
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor.
So,
We will return.
we will return following our discussion in executive session.
Can I show Mary this?
Before we continue with our action items, I don't really want to do this, but I mean, I think we have to. After 13 years in our school district, this is the last school committee meeting that we're going to have Andre Ravenel as the Fitchburg Public Schools Superintendent, and what a loss this is. We wish you the best, though. You've got a wonderful family. We're going to miss all of them, and we're certainly going to miss you, and you did an outstanding job. What continuity, unheard of. And we appreciate your efforts, and you've done a great job. And, congratulations on your retirement.
I've ever received flowers before. My wife is going to be jealous. And if I've preserved them well enough, I can give them to her.
I think you better give them to her anyway.
Yeah.
Just change the card, okay, before you...
Soften the blow of my being around more often. Well, thank you very, very much. I know I'm still in my quick official role here. I was at the executive board retreat this weekend for superintendents in Massachusetts, and just to let you know, there's a lot of work going on right now to prepare a lawsuit against the state for more funding.
Foundation.
So that is rolling, and right now they're going to be reaching out to school districts to participate and to support that effort with the goal that the lawsuit will not be necessary, and that everyone will see the light and realize that with the challenges and everything else, including MSBA, that everyone needs. There's
Right.
a lot of work to be done, and the superintendents were also asked for input in terms of a new assessment system. This commissioner realizes that one test does not tell the story. So this is a carpe diem opportunity when they're going to be coming out and asking for input, and we gave a lot of input over the weekend in terms of the different kinds of assessments, and you can't just judge a school by their MCAS scores. You know, you've got the MATs and the LEASes and all the great stuff going on in schools. I'm in it right up until the end. But this has been a great run. It's been just a fabulous, fabulous run. I have been so fortunate to be chosen by Fitchburg and to do the work that needed to be done here. The staff here are incredible. I've been so fortunate to have a great central office staff. I was counting up, I think I've had over 24 school committee members over the years, 3 mayors, 3 police chiefs. Fire department has remained stable, as it should. So it's just been really wonderful. I'm looking forward to new opportunities. For people who don't know, the work that I'm going to be doing is with William James College, which is focused on behavioral psychology, especially in developing programs and staff to help students with mental illness, with mental health issues, social emotional issues, and then develop things that can come into the schools and really help the schools to address the kinds of issues that they're facing every day so that they can all excel academically. It's been great. Thank you. I wish you all the very best of luck. I'm here till Friday, October 6th. And then we will be going to Paris with my family for our 30th wedding anniversary. That's what I'll give her the flowers for. Here, honey. And my retirement and all of those kinds of things. So thank you, thank you. The applause goes to all of you. Thank you. Okay.
So, I don't know, Patty, if you want to can we cut the cake if people want a piece now?
Oh, is that, well,
Or do you
this
wanna
is, I don't
take
think
it?
we've ended the official meeting yet.
Well, we
so,
haven't,
yeah.
but if it's over there,
Yeah,
then,
yeah, sure. That's
We
good.
we can move through the
Yeah.
agenda,
Okay.
and then we can get over to the...
Just so you realize, this is the second cake because
I know.
today is Paula's birthday, so we had cake earlier today, so
See, it just goes to show, it's good to stay to the very end of the school committee meeting that you get cake. I'm just saying.
And then the only other piece on my report is the FLAC board member. So when I was appointed, I did talk to Richard Murphy, and he said that you needed to appoint me because I went to the last meeting, but for the next meeting, Bob will go, so there's an action item here to appoint.
Do you want us to appoint Bob tonight?
I think there's an action item on there.
There is an action item.
Because there's a meeting, I think the first week of October.
Are you going to attend that?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I
All
already
right.
attended my meeting.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want you to go without a representative to the meeting, to FLAC.
So we want to vote on
Yes.
Bob now.
Well, I will make a recommendation that we appoint Mr. Jock as the FLAC collaborative member representing the Fitchburg School Committee.
Right.
Yep.
18-1044, motion to appoint Robert Jokela as the school committee representative to the FLAC Board of Directors for 2018-2019.
Motion.
Motion made,
Second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it was unanimous, thank you. How do you want to do the rest of them, Andre? You want to
Can we bundle
Just
these?
all- Yeah, just all action items.
Could I just ask, what is,
Yes.
what is 18-1047, the ASOST?
That's
ASOS.
the ASOS.
After school.
and
After
outside
school.
of school time. It's,
That's not 21st century?
no,
No.
it's sort of aligned, but not 21st century.
It's on this, Gene, it's
Okay.
on this handout sheet at the very top.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure what it goes to, or,
Still not good.
so you're submitting it, but what will that
It's the,
go to?
so 21st century grant programming needs to be made available to all kinds of learners.
Yep,
So if we have students in the .4 self-contained special ed programs with paras, or if they need specialized transportation, especially during the summer program. Summer program's a 4-week program, lots of kids, lots of activities. It provides the additional support for all kinds of learners to participate in outside of school time program.
is that another federal thing?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll bundle the remaining action items, if that is your
45,
pleasure.
yep.
18-1045 up through and including 18-1056.
Make a motion?
Motion made to
Second.
accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is unanimous. There is no need for executive session.
Motion for adjournment.
Wait, no, wait,
Yes,
we
I'm
have,
sorry.
we have to, don't we have to vote on
Oh,
the memorandum of agreement now, correct?
that was within what we.
That was in there.
It was part of it.
Number 181054,
Yep.
1819.
Right.
Okay, all right, okay.
That was part of your bundle.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
got it, okay.
All right?
Question?
Yes.
Mayor, you had mentioned moving our school committee
Right.
time.
Yeah, we were going to discuss moving it to 6 o'clock instead of 7. We need discussion on that, or is that, instead of 7 o'clock, 6
Set a school
o'clock?
committee at 7, meet at 6.
Meeting 6. Can you make 6 o'clock meetings?
I prefer 7. I prefer 7.
You do? So you'll be opposing vote then?
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
Stick to my guns.
So-
Yeah, if it becomes, yeah, it's a problem for at least one member. Yeah.
Which, 6:30 is between
6:30 be okay?
45. No, just kidding. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do 6:30.
6:30?
That's okay.
6:30?
I'll make a motion that we meet at 6:30.
All right. Motion made.
Starting at the next,
Next meeting will be at 6:30.
okay?
Okay?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Okay.
right, 6:30.
Okay.
All right, folks, we are adjourned.
Still have meetings.
That's right, yeah.